everybody, Fantasticairy here, back with another video. In this week's video, I'm going to share with you my process in painting some withered plants inside my watercolor sketchbook. Last week was more of sharing the process of my textures, colors, and kind of experimentation. This week, I will share with you a little bit more of that process. As you can see here, I started off by painting the overall shape of the plant I want to paint. This is almost like a withered daisy flower. And then I use the wet on wet technique to make sure all the colors blend together naturally. And I get interesting textures this way. And I'm kind of going fun with the colors, some greens, some purples, some bright reds, yellows, and letting them all mix together naturally. I started off with a lighter color for the base of my shape of this flower. It's almost like sketching. I used to draw a lot before I started painting. I kind of feel like that workflow blended itself into my watercolor painting. I used a lighter tone to shape the flower, and then I go over top with more saturated and darker tones. It gives the colors more of a pop, and they seem to feel more vibrant when I paint this way. I'm shaping in the wilted flowers that are coming off this bud of the flower, again using the wet on wet technique to blend everything together, letting the paint do its thing, and trusting the process along the way. When I was painting this, I really fell in love with all these purples and greens and yellows together, also incorporating some orange into there. And as you can see, everything has dried. You can really see all the textures after it dries. Here I'm taking my 01 round brush and I'm creating this texture of these lines going up into the petals. It gives the shapes a little bit more interesting features, and we're starting to define some details a little bit more. I'm using a darker purple to go over top of this lighter purple color, and then I'll also use my super tiny brush, my 0.5 round brush, to get even smaller lines flowing up into the flower. It kind of defines the shape a little bit more so things don't seem as flat. I'm going to continue with this brush, and I'm going to start creating some more texture and definition into the bud of the flower. I believe it has all these little tiny seeds that are waiting to be dispersed as they dry. So I want to recreate that texture with some dots, kind of just keeping it simple and stylized. Moving on to another flower shape I wanted to paint. I start off with a light brown color shaping in the flower, as you see here, and then I'm going over with a darker kind of brown, going from light to dark. Painting with watercolor is really about painting in layers, as it's not a super opaque medium, so you've got to choose wisely in the steps that you paint in painting your subject. And now I'm going in with a darker brown, just kind of dotting it in, letting it blend while some of the paint is still wet. The majority of this painting has dried already, so it's kind of a mix between dry and wet technique. This flower also has a dotted texture on the bud, so I'm going to recreate that with my brush as well, except the dots are a little bit more spaced out, and they're almost a teardrop shape. When those lighter dots dry, I'm going to go over top with even darker dots, kind of using a Payne's gray for this, getting away from the warmer tones and moving into more of a cooler tone on top. It's really fun to experiment with warm tones and cool tones with watercolor. I'm still mostly new to it and I'm learning as I go, but I like to incorporate both kinds of tones in all my watercolor little illustrations. From this point on, I'm going to let you guys enjoy the final reveal with some music of this entire sketchbook page that I painted this week, and I'll see you at the end to talk about the end result. Oh, one quick side note, I like to add in these tiny dots on top as well after, just for interesting looks. here is the completed sketchbook page. This is the final page of my sketchbook, so this has been quite the journey. I think the sketchbook took me a year and a month to fill. My focus of the sketchbook was really to experiment a lot with texture and certain nature elements that I've learned as I've painted them. I feel like I've gained a little bit more knowledge into how I want to paint with watercolor. I think my favorite of the page is about the center wilted flower, just above the title, Withered Beauty. I like how those colors turned out, the browns with those little touches of blue and all the tiny little details. I went crazy with the flower in the middle right corner. It kind of reminds me of Stranger Things, if you've seen that show. And then of course the bottom right corner, the purple and greenish wilted flower. I exaggerated a lot of the colors of the original reference I was using, as well as the shapes, like to deviate from my reference to create a more stylized kind of piece. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with how all the shapes, the colors, and textures turned out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching again, I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. You can check me out on the social medias and the links in the description below, as well as my print shop, where you can purchase some of the illustrations of the skeletons' nature illustrations I've done thus far. I try to upload videos every Friday, so I will see you guys then with a new sketchbook. Either that or a sketchbook tour, so stay tuned for that. I will see you next week. Bye bye!